we're back. This is Let's Talk It Out.
Let's talk. I don't know how to do it. Out.
Out. Exactly.
Oh my God. This is like
I'm losing my mic.
We're making a dance for the Let's Talk It Out.
Yeah,
I love it.
This amazing wine is not even alcoholic.
Exactly.
And
But
it
we
works.
pretended
We
it.
love
'cause
it.
It works.
Vin Zero. Fantastic, guys. Awesome. We do love it very much. So we actually opened the bottle just like 5 minutes ago. It's almost already gone. So that's perfect. So we're back here. We are so happy. We have an amazing guest coming up very, very soon. But before everything, as usual, all of this wouldn't be possible
Without me. No, and you, and
without
Vanny.
us, of course, because otherwise it's not going to record itself, this show. But also, this show is possible to thanks to our great, very, very, very great, super great sponsors. So the first one is Theo Giovannis. He's a courtier immobilier. This guy is fantastic. If you need advices, if you need to buy your home, if you need to advices how you buy the mortgage, someone who actually kind of like carry you toward this purchase, which is very, very important. You gotta call Theo. You gotta talk with him. He's always available. He's super professional. So I'll give you his phone number and his email. So it's 514-910-8436, or you can write at theo@theogiovannis.ca, which is written THEO at THEOGIOVANIS.ca. Oh,
Canada.
which is not California, but it's Canada.
We could dream.
Exactly. So our other sponsors is one of like evergreen, a B2A.
Yeah.
And we love him so much.
Woohoo!
And is Richard Babb Photography. Guys, he does all type of photography. It's fantastic. You can call him for your wedding.
I was gonna say.
You can call him for your private party, but you can call him like if you have a gig and you want a professional photographer who's gonna take pictures of you, musicians. You can call him because it's very good. It's a good, very, very good. It's very artistic, but he can do also like, the professional pictures too. So literally his studio is available for any of your needs. And this, you can find him, not me, but you can also find me on Instagram. But now I'm gonna give his contact. You can find him on Instagram at Richard Babb Photography. Otherwise, mobile is 514-923-3168. And again, actually, Instagram is Richard_Babb_photography. So, guys. You have two amazing people that can help you with all your needs. So thank you so much for both of you for supporting Let's Talk It Out.
Woo! Thanks, guys. And now we start our podcast. Yay!
Yay! Cheers!
Yeah, exactly. Cheers and welcome. I'm going to introduce you properly. So, guys, welcome back to Let's Talk It Out, like Francesca. So we just want to let you know that we do have a brother podcast, Sessions with Steph.
No, it's not true.
It is true.
It is
Rock
true.
on. It is true.
It is true, but we have to wait until we finish the sponsors to introduce your podcast. So don't get excited about it.
Okay.
So yes,
Okay.
we do have a brother podcast. He's dedicated to musicians, but that is later. Now it's dedicated to
Later
us.
or next week?
Whenever.
Theoretically.
Theoretically.
We're
Depends
filming
on
it
the
later.
time you're leaving.
We're filming it later,
Later
but
could
you're
mean
going to see
anything.
it. They're going to see it next week
But it could be
or last week.
whatever.
Yes.
Let's not get confused.
I just
about
wanted to
timing.
take more of your airtime to
I
promote
know,
Sessions with Steph.
I
That's
know.
all I wanted to do.
That's it. We have the voice from beyond.
Egoist.
What can I say?
It's all about
Egoist.
you.
It's
It's
the
all about
musician
you.
in me. And speaking of musicians, there was an ex-musician who lets us use this place.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
yes.
Right?
Yes, his name is
Emil Vidmar.
And behind us, we have like an incredible piece of artwork.
Hold on, I'm going to show it.
Okay, show it, Vanny. Hurry up, show it. So here we have, we'll pull the Vanna. We have a nice surface. It's very edged. and it's actually quite elegant and artistic. It has a joie de vivre feel to it. So guys, if you're interested in any of M's artwork, you can give M a call, and I'm sure Vanny will put it somewhere
Emil Widmar.
in the screen or somewhere here. And I don't know, he always, every time I point here, he puts it there. So I'm just gonna say, Vanny, just put whatever you want.
Confused.
That's done on purpose.
Like I didn't know. So, guys, without further ado, we're going to introduce our very special guest. And for all you people getting married, this is for you. Not only the podcast,
you,
but
like-
she is for you.
No, she's engaged. She's not for you. So just so you know.
Lay
We're
down,
talking
men,
professionally.
calm down, because that's another podcast that we're gonna put you on, because she's got rules for men. But anyways, that's another podcast
Wolves?
entirely. Rules.
Rules. No, wolves for men. Yeah, maybe when they're bad, that behavior is bad, you send them wolves. It makes sense.
That too. So for all your women, men getting married this year, next year, whatever year, this is definitely the podcast and the episode for you, because I have the pleasure to introduce Valerie Guerrera from Vintage Luxe Events. So,
Yeah, I'm good.
Valerie.
There's something in my eye. There's
Are
something
you
in my
good?
eye, yeah.
So Valerie
My
is
eye.
actually a wedding planner, and she will detail
Very good
to
one.
us a fabulous one, and she will detail to us today what exactly she does, and she'll sort of give you an insight on what you can do when it comes to planning.
Awesome.
Okay, so without further ado, Valerie, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm
Thank you for
excited.
coming.
I'm really,
We
really
too.
excited.
We're great to have you on, and the
you.
first question for you would be, what got you interested in wedding planning?
Whew, that's a good one. Honestly, I have to say it just, I guess, happened just by itself. Well, really more if you want to really get into the technical part of it. Many, many years ago when I was still in college, I was a teaching assistant for one of my past instructors, and as a teaching assistant I had to basically plan the a public speaking competition because the class was public speaking.
Okay.
So long story short, it was the year, because they only have the public speaking competition I think once per semester, so happened to be the semester that I was helping him out, and I had to get sponsors and I guess plan the whole thing, and I had no experience whatsoever of planning, so I just sort of figured it out and it went well. I mean, we had many sponsors and it was a great competition that I planned, and I think that really got me interested in planning. I got the taste of like planning and organizing and all that good stuff. I'm like, hey, you know what? Oh, this is maybe a one day, career choice. And then later on, I graduated. I took the class from ETH Crew called the Conference and Event Planning at ETH Crew. It's a 2 year or 1.5 year course, and it teaches you pretty much everything about you need to know about planning events. But there was really nothing to do with weddings. So once I graduated, I got a part-time job as a receptionist, if you want to say. And in that time, I started to do all my research and like, what do I have to take to become a wedding planner? Because I already had the background from the class the program that I took that I graduated. And then from there, I stumbled upon, it's called the Wedding Planners Institute of Canada, and they're the only legit school that could for wedding planners if you're interested in becoming a wedding planner. So they taught me so much, but I felt confident going in because I already had the knowledge already. So it was just an extra thing. So, and in that course they taught you, it was I think a 2 or 3 month course online because it was during the pandemic. I know they have in person because they're based in Toronto.
Yeah.
So it was online course. It went really well. I already had some knowledge behind it, so it's just a step. It was nothing hard for me to do. And then I graduated that, and that's pretty much it. So I feel confident, going into it, and with that knowledge, I felt super confident saying, "Hey, I have what it takes." And what's nice too is they always have continuing education. So if you want to like follow like what's happening, they have webinars. They have so much going on to help wedding professionals just to stay current what's going on.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah,
great.
and it's the only legitimate one in Canada, I'd want to say. And they also, if I'm not mistaken, they also train other like abroad like destination wedding planners to like hotels. So they're really big. And the 2 instructors, Tracy and Danielle, if they're listening to this, hopefully, I really thank them. And they started it, I believe, back in 2001, or I forget when they started, but they started way, way, way back when, for that reason, to educate people that are interested in becoming a wedding planner or a career change or whatever, but I'm very happy that the course does exist, the program does exist, because it's not, there's not many out there that's legitimate.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that. Look at that.
Yeah.
And so in terms of your business,
Yes.
the name, and what does it represent? What lets you stand out beyond anybody else in terms of wedding planning?
I like that question. So the reason why I didn't name it Valerie Events, because every wedding planner, when I was thinking of a name, so to speak, I'm like, something catchy, but nothing, Events by Valerie or Events by Val. I'm like, it didn't really stick to me. So I'm like, I want something with a V. Like something, I need a V in there, because V for Valerie, V, So I'm like, vintage, I like that vibe, like the vintage vibe. Luxe, because, short for luxury, luxurious. I'm like, and I'm like, events. And that was pretty much it. So nice. It was really, I wanted something with a V in it. Originally, I wanted to be like rose gold events or something, because rose gold is one of my favorite colors, or something with pink in it. But there's already so many out there with that name that I'm like, I have to stand out. So nice. It was something with a V. So I think that was why I chose Vintage Luxe Events.
That's really interesting.
Nice.
And I have a question. It's just like, let's jump into the like the concrete steps that you have to do, like specific, but from your point of view. So basically, when you have your first consultancy with the client, what are the 5 top questions you ask them in order to get the vibe of the wedding?
The overall vibe. So the first one have to be, when is your wedding date? Because a wedding, because many, I learned, I guess, throughout time that many other vendors don't always ask that question. They just, ask it later. But I'm like, hey, what's your wedding date? Because that determines a lot. The date, availability for certain venues, it dictates the whole thing. The other one, sometimes I ask, it depends, the vibe. I'm like, who are your vendors you're already working with? So then I know, if I know them, like, okay, I'm in good hands. But if I don't really know them, I like to do research on them. So I stalk their Instagram, Facebook, see what's their vibe. Does it make sense that I work with them? Because it's a relationship too that I want to build with them. If they do amazing work, I'm like, hey, I'd want to work with them again in the future, right? That's how it's in the industry, right? The other one, I always ask, okay, theme. What are we thinking of theme? Or not even theme, but color palette. Like, what are we going for? Like pastel, a bit moodier. Like, what's the overall vibe? Another question, if they have, who is your venue? Who's your venue? Because the venue makes the whole big difference. Like, let's say if your venue is somewhere in an old port or like that moodier vibe, like not all color palettes will work well in that environment, because you want the space to be for it, but you also just want to add a few little extra, a little touch of extraness and be extra. But if you don't have the right venue, you can't do that. And the last one I always ask is, what's your realistic budget? That's the always last. Some don't feel comfortable, so I don't impose on it, but I'm like, give me a ballpark, because things when you're planning a wedding add up so quickly. Like the smallest thing as a napkin ring could cost you more than the chair sometimes. Ooh. Depending how many guests and everything. You see, I don't really ask how many guests, because that could change a million times before you send out the invites and RSVPs. But realistically, those are the 5 questions I ask them, so then I get a sense of the style they're going for, to see if I'm a good match for them, because they could be an amazing match for me, my ideal client, so to speak, but sometimes it's not a match. And I want to make sure that in the first, and usually the meeting, I want to say lasts an hour, give or take, and sometimes I had consultations that were like 30 minutes and then they wanted to sign with me like the day after. But sometimes it takes a bit more, but at the end of the day, I'm there to make your wedding happen, and if you like me, I like you, and we could, because remember, it's all about a long relationship that we have to build. Like, you have to trust me and I have to trust you, because without you, I can't do what I do, right? So it's all about that trust that we build from day one. And sometimes it happened to me in the past that some clients, potential clients weren't a match, but that's okay. They found another planner that suited their needs better. I don't care. There's so many wedding planners out there, so you pick the one that's right for you. But at the end of the day, you know, that's what it really is. Those are the 5 questions I have to ask, like, to get a good, and let's say if you're not sure something, that's okay, but just tell me what you're thinking, or maybe a color palette. Like, it's always what's your theme. They're like, some potential clients, well, I don't know, but that's okay. Just tell me a color. You like the color blue? We could do so much things with the color blue, with shade, which, you know, how much blue, right, with accents, you know, so we could
so
do a
basically
lot.
This meeting is with the bride, right? Because the groom is like, I
right?
couldn't give a shit.
I always say have the bride and the groom, because it's super important to have both there.
So the guy's standing there saying whatever you say, dear.
Sitting there.
Yes, dear.
He's
Yes,
sitting
dear.
there.
'Cause
And,
the guy's like,
and sometimes you'd be surprised. Sometimes the guy actually interacts. And
Actually.
they actually interact. And I'm happy because I have to make sure that both are on board with hiring me. Because sometimes, well, I'd say maybe 90% of the time it's the bride that reaches out to me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
The guy's like, as long as I don't have to think of anything and she's doing it.
Exactly. But at the same time,
you're asking me the color. I don't want to know what color. Just do the color.
Exactly. But sometimes, you know, I don't want them to feel left out. Like, it's not their wedding. Like, I don't want it to be all on the bride, and then the groom just shows up saying, well, okay, this is the wedding. This is it. But I want to make sure they both have a good experience together, because they're wedding them. I'm helping them plan, right? So I need both of them to be there together for the first meeting. It happened that sometimes the guy doesn't come for whatever reason, but I always try to encourage both of them to be there, because it's so important to have that relationship with both of them from the beginning. Because let's say if the guy, for example, doesn't like me or doesn't want to hire me, and the bride is like, yes, they have to discuss it themselves. I'm not a therapist. Sometimes I feel like I am, but that's not up to me to decide. No, I give them all the information they need from me, but I'm not a therapist, but I feel
I've seen so many arguments, like the most uncomfortable feeling. You're sitting down and you're like, okay, do you have an opening dance? And the groom will say something, and the bride like gives a look of death, and I'm standing
there. The look
there
of death. I've seen the look of death.
The look of death.
I'm like, oh boy.
You're so uncomfortable. You're just standing there like, we could do another one if you want, or you know, whatever you'd like to do.
Whatever.
I'll choose one.
And you know that the second you walk out, they're fucking arguing.
It's game over.
Crazy.
Just get out of there before it's too late.
I think they just got married.
And what's the most common question that actually you receive?
Lately it's been, what's my education? In the beginning it wasn't too much, but lately I've been finding more and more. It's like, oh, what did you study, or what's your education? So I find that interesting. Or how many years experience? It's one or the other.
Well, because you look so younger than
Thank
you
you.
are, so people are just
Thank you. I appreciate that. But it's always education, because I feel like when it comes to wedding planning, it's a big gray area.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, what does a wedding planner do? Or is it like
how
the
you
movie?
become one,
Or my favorite, it's like the movie with J-Lo, right?
Oh, The Wedding Planner.
Yeah,
that is
The
such
Wedding
a cute
Planner.
movie. I really
I
like
love
one?
The Wedding Planner
with J-Lo and Matthew
J-Lo,
McConaughey.
yeah.
Both. I don't know if I pronounced the name right, but with J-Lo, Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, that's a lot of people. It's like, oh, so that's what they do. I'm like, something like that. They don't show you behind the scenes what really goes on, but if that makes you feel better, yes, something along those lines.
Something like Hollywood, yeah.
It's always that's what I guess asked. Like, it's always a big gray area when it comes to wedding planning. So that's why I like to always educate potential clients of what I really do, to make sure they really need my services and they trust me. So I give them everything about me. I always have my portfolio. You could see that on Instagram, my website, you name it. So I always ask them before they meet with me to go stalk me. Like, I don't care. Stalk me all you want, just to get if I'm the right planner for you, because many wedding planners have different styles. So to make sure I fit what you're looking for, right? So it really comes down to that, because everyone has their own style. Same like photographers, everyone has their own style. So for me, I have my own style, and that's okay. So to make sure you like what you see, because all the pictures that I post online, they're my work. So I could tell you exactly, I could replicate that for you, no problem. So I always say, if you like something of mine, tell me during the consultation. Even if you don't end up working with me, at least we have a starting point saying, hey, I saw this picture online that you did, and then we can go from there. That's like usually to break the ice more, just to get the conversation flowing a bit.
Nice.
Yeah. So my question would be, what are your company's values and why?
Okay.
And how do they translate into your work?
Well, values, I'd want to say, I'm always super honest with everyone that I work with, clients, vendors, because in this industry, it's a one-time thing, right? You can't do you can't do it over 100 times. It's a one, and you have to make sure it's perfect to perfection, as close as it could be. So I'm always super honest.
I've played a third wedding before. I have played the third wedding of a couple.
Oh, for sure. I don't.
The bride and groom, the groom was getting married for the third time and the bride for the second. So
okay, I guess so. But ideally, you want to have a one time.
Absolutely.
You want to keep
the
a one.
Idea is
one time. So I'm super. Honestly, I always believe. I think it's just to be honest with everyone. Like, cause some vendors out there that I worked with, they're not super honest, and that leaves a bad rep for the name in the industry. So I always try to be honest. Even during the initial consultation, I always tell them, I'm gonna be honest with you. Even if you don't want to hear it from me, I will tell you, because it's important that I'm honest, with everything. Sometimes, I have to admit, sometimes I leave things out that I know that won't make a difference at the end of the day, that I don't bother to tell the bride and groom. And I even tell them too in the first conversation. I'm like, look, some things I'm not going to tell you because it won't matter. Yeah. It matters for me, but won't matter for you. But I'm super honest, and also respect. To be honest and respectful of the industry, because without all the vendors I work with, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. Like, I wouldn't be, anywhere without pictures, photographer, venues, caterers, florists, rental companies. Without them, I can't do my job, right? Because I need them to make it happen, the wedding, right? So, and respect with clients, respect with other vendors, local vendors, because at the end of the day, like I said, without them, I can't do what I have to do, right? I rely on all the vendors to make sure that they do their part. And I even tell them, I'm like, I'm gonna be honest with you from day one, like it or not, honesty and respect. Because if I feel like, after the whole wedding's over, that I didn't feel respected or something, just left a bad taste, I won't be working with them again. Yeah. And it's a shame, but it happens, right? It does happen. So I'd have to say it's honesty, and to be honest, and to be respectful with everyone that I come across.
That's very good.
And what is the aspect of your job that you like the less?
Less, I'd have to say.
And the one, I add this one too, and the one that you feel more challenged with.
Okay, the least thing I like when it comes to being a wedding planner is sometimes I have to discipline other vendors, and I feel not bad, but I'm like, you're an adult. Why am I disciplining you? Like, why do I have to tell you what you should be doing? I don't like it too much, but it has to be done. It's a reality. It has to be done in order for the show, in order to have the wedding continue. I have to it doesn't happen often, but when it does, I have to be tough in a way. I don't like to be tough only if I really have to feel that, let's say, said vendor is not following the timeline, or not only timeline, but or if they're drinking at the bar and they're not supposed to because you're working, right? So it really comes down, I'd want to say, to that. It's just to discipline. Yeah. And the most challenging, I'd have to say, when it comes to the wedding day, not a challenge, but more everything has to go perfectly, is the whole setup, the initial setup, to make sure everyone's there on time, everything is looking good, making sure everything is how the clients envision their wedding day. It's always a challenge because, remember, you plan it on paper, right? I do mock-ups, you name it, this is that, it's gonna look like this. But on the wedding day, it's to make sure it happens, so that's a little challenging, because sometimes, and it happened before that, the venue, for example, they said one thing and they're like, oh, you can only come at this time to set up. Okay, well, we have to make do with the time we have. But at the end of the day, my job is to always make it happen, and at the end of the day, it gets done. Yeah. Like it or not, it will get done. Yeah, you have to deliver, because there's so much on the line to make it so perfect, not only on me, but the venue and all the other vendors responsible to make it happen. So that's a big thing. So
how are you under stress or pressure?
I'm always learning something new about myself. I try not to put myself under so pressure, because I realized early on that if I'm stressed, everyone else can be stressed around me. That's true. Yeah. And they all are looking up to me to be a leader and to be the one responsible. So if I'm freaking out in the corner, it's not going to go for the wedding. Yeah. So I always try my best to stay cool, remain cool. And let's say if it happens that I don't know, it could happen that, you know, something is going wrong or whatever, it's okay. I always just make sure that no one sees me stressed.
So did you ever have a moment where there was a disaster, quote unquote, or something that happened that you sort of said, this was not,
I have a good
predicted.
one. I have a good one. So last year, it was a wedding. I forget the name of the venue. It was an hour away from Montreal. Okay, and it was at a golf course. And that day it was like raining, you know, but thankfully it was inside the wedding. But the ceremony was outside. So that day I read on the news and I didn't believe it. There is a small tornado warning in Quebec. And I remember St. Eustache got hit, some parts of St. Adele, they got hit by a small tornado. So it was during the ceremony, and the couple's good friend was officiating. So I'm in the back, okay, like at the back with the photographer. We like to talk, you know, catch up, you know, blah, 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 ha, ha, ha. She's taking pictures and I'm just talking, you know, keeping her company. And in the distance, you see like a little, like it starts to spin.
Oh my God.
So I look at her, we look at each other, we're like, what is that? Like, what is that? So I look on my app, right? And I'm like, it says a tornado or warning. And I'm like, no way in Quebec. Like, this never happens. So, and luckily we weren't hit by the tornado. It was down there, but we were hit by like so much rain that the venue almost lost power. But luckily they were a big enough venue to have backup, to have a generator, thankfully. But I remember telling the friend of it, like, to hurry up, like, who cares? Don't have to make it all cute. Just say I do and that's it, and we're inside. And like everyone, all the guests saw it in the background because you see it, it's obvious. So that was a moment where I could have not have expected that at all on a wedding day.
Imagine the wedding pictures.
So the big guy upstairs and say, what the fuck is going on?
Imagine the wedding pictures. That's me. That's my husband. Our
And the
parents and the tornado.
That wedding. But after all, everything went well at the end of the day. But that was, I think,
very challenging.
It was, and how can you, like, you read it, and because the news is not always accurate, right? Like, ha ha ha, like, it's
specifically
fine.
In Quebec, like, the weather always changing.
You can't predict the weather, you know, and that's why that was the one time that I'm like, oh boy. I remember, you know, I was calling my parents and my fiance. I'm like, yeah, by the way, there's like a tornado warning. I don't know if you saw in the news, but I'm there where it's gonna happen. So if you don't hear from me, you know, text message, because you never know, like, you lose power, Wi-Fi, data, you never know, right? So that was something, but thankfully everything worked out, nothing. And luckily the staff, the chef and his staff made the food ahead of time, most of it, like
Nice.
So luckily, you know, it was already pre-done to some point, so it was thankfully that was taken care of, so no one would be hungry if something were to happen.
Oh my God,
I
that's
played
crazy.
a party that there was no power.
Yeah, it happens, and
the party was done. It was finished. We waited an hour. We tried.
Well, I mean, that thing you cannot do anything.
You can't predict. You can't predict the weather.
It's really hard. There are things that even the best planner ever.
You can't.
Like
you
weather,
can't.
we still don't have that.
That
power.
was a good one, and I remember talking to another DJ for the wedding I was doing the next week. I'm like, were you hit? He's like, yeah, I was doing a wedding and they were hit with a tornado by like really rain and like really bad wind.
The bride flying around.
It was pretty.
Like people dying around.
Everything. It was pretty. That was a first for me.
Very cool.
That was something. That was a good one.
And I have a question, because we all know, like, when we're talking weddings.
Yeah.
Like some of your clients are, you know, grounded, but other people like have crazy ideas of what they want without even thinking that some ideas are definitely not possible for many reasons. So what is the weirdest, give me two weirdest requests, the two weirdest requests you received that you have to say,
weird?
Sorry guys, this is not working.
I want to say I always like a challenge. So if I could challenge myself to do something out of my comfort zone, I'd be more than happy to do. Weird?
Tigers everywhere.
That'd be something, but I wouldn't say weirdest, but I'm really happy about this wedding that I'm doing this year. It's a Harry Potter theme, and I can't wait.
Nice.
I always wanted to do like a Harry Potter theme wedding.
Perfect.
And I'm really happy. And now the bride, and I'm happy she mentioned this to me, that she wants to have floating candles on the ceiling. And I'm so happy that
I already have in mind how to do that.
And I'm so happy that the venue that we're doing it at
allows that.
I'm like, God.
Yeah.
So I'm
Real
really
flame or
like battery,
light.
battery operated candle. So I'm really happy that they allowed it, because I'm like, that's a genius idea. If it's Harry Potter, like we have to have the floating candles. So I'm really happy that we're gonna get the floating candles on the ceiling.
That's
So far it looks like it's gonna happen.
And the one that you have to say no because
so there's a lot of clients of mine that they see Pinterest and Instagram and they're like obsessed.
I want that.
So I think the best thing I always tell them is like, look, we can make it happen, yes, but realistically with the time we have or the vendors available,
The money, the budget.
everything takes into account, but I always make sure that they get something that they're happy with at the end. So it's like, it might not look like on Pinterest and Instagram, but it'll be you. It'll be unique to your wedding, But I always say use inspiration from Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook. Use inspiration, and we could just make it. But it fits your budget, the venue. It has to make sense with the venue too.
Yeah.
If you have a venue with exposed brick and this and that, you're not gonna have fluorescent color. It's gonna be overkill. It's not gonna match why you picked the venue in the first place, right? So I always have to remind my clients saying, not always, but sometimes, like, look, the venue you picked is beautiful. You picked it for this and that reason, and we just have to bring some life into it. And that's pretty much what I always try to do with my clients, is to make them see the beauty of the venue that they picked or we picked together, and we just add a few things here and there to make it feel like a wedding in their wedding, and their color palette, of course.
That's interesting. But just
No,
one
go,
other
go,
question.
go.
Have you ever said no to someone, to a project?
Yeah, I said no to a few ideas that the bride and groom had. I'm not scared to say no, because realistically, either it was time that we didn't have. I knew it'd take much more time to accomplish it. Not only time, but budget too is a big thing. Like the budget didn't allow it, or
Everything's possible for a price, but
but I always respect the client's budgets that they give me, because I don't want them to go over it, because there's a reason why they gave me that number, and I try to always stick to it. It's budget, time, or in Montreal, or anywhere, or in Montreal, there's vendors that don't have the type of rentals or what they're looking for, like realistically. And then if we wanted, example, if they wanted something, it'd have to be from, let's say, Ontario or another somewhere else, and it's gonna cost a lot more for what you want, so I said no a few times. I don't like to say no, but like I said, honesty to me is key. So I'll tell them, saying, look, it's beautiful what you want, but realistically, because of this, that, and that, it's not gonna be possible. So let's go back to the drawing board and say, hey, what did you like about this the best? And we'll focus on that. Let's say if they like the chairs the best, okay, we could get you the chairs, it's fine. You could get any chair you want, it's fine. That's doable, because most of my clients are always with chairs. They don't like the venue chair, so we always end up renting it sometimes. So that's doable. We could focus on the chairs, but other things, either we don't focus on, or we find an alternative for that item. Let's say the centerpiece, we could go to any florist in Montreal and they can make it or have something similar. So it's always the chairs people want to change. It's interesting.
It's true.
I have
always
a
the chairs.
question.
Yes.
So you hire a band.
Okay.
So a band gets hired, right?
Yes.
And the bride and groom have tastes.
Yes.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
Totally get it. Everybody has tastes. They ask the band for their set list.
Okay.
And I am always, I'm always like, okay, sure. And you send it.
Right.
And then they send you back, you have like a set list of like, 100 songs.
Right.
Let's say my band, we have about 100.
That's a good amount.
Yeah, we have a good.
Yeah, it's a good.
But it comes back to you with, cross out, cross out, cross
Yeah.
out, cross out, cross out, cross out. Play this, that, but don't play, I don't like this, I don't like that.
Right.
So, are you the wedding planner that will try and sit down? Because sometimes I get that and I try to have a conversation. Like, okay, I understand. Like, if you want to tell me 2 or 3 songs that you absolutely hate,
right,
please tell me.
It's only 2 or it's not the whole.
But if you're gonna cross out 40 of my songs,
that's a lot.
And I even have the emails.
Oh, I believe
the red
you.
And green, the yellow. If you have they put if no choice, you can play this, but not that.
Interesting.
And I'm
yeah.
Like, you got to be kidding me. Like
right.
now, my job, A, because I call the songs on stage, and B, is
right.
Like, but you're not the only. Like you're bringing guests.
Right.
So it's like you're gonna have an uncle who's gonna come and say,
"Where's that song?" or play this song. Yeah.
I don't know. So I have to tell them no.
Yeah.
And they think I'm an asshole. Right? It's like,
right.
Do you have that conversation? Like, are you the wedding planner that says, hey band, don't play those songs, that's what they want? Or are you the one that says, guys, listen, pick 5 or 6 songs.
I'm the planner that says, look, like you said, I always try to have a conversation with, a meeting.
You're hired.
Yeah.
When can we start? We're not.
Yeah.
So for me, before, for a DJ band or any musician, I ask the clients, before they even think of hiring, go see if they have a website first. See their work, see them playing. And sometimes it happened, sometimes I ask the band, DJ, musicians, can we come see you at a wedding, like just when you're playing? If they like them, I'm like, okay, let's come in contact with them. Let's have a meeting with them first before you sign up or jump the gun. Yeah, just to make sure it's the right vibe, right? Yeah, if everything is okay, then you send the contract, the list. And let's say if my client comes to me, because they come to me before, they'll come to you and say, look, Val, we don't like, I'll say, look, the reality is the sister songs, there's not much you can, you cross out 2 songs, it's fine. But at the end of the day, I'm like, look, it's not only about, yes, it's your wedding day, but you have like 200 guests that are expecting certain songs. Yeah. And that's it. And it's that simple. And I try to bring them to reality that the band has these songs. You can't make up a whole new playlist for them. It's not, a band is live. It's not a DJ where the DJ presses play and they could pause the song at 4 minutes and 30 seconds for this part. It's a little different. So I always tell the clients, well, what atmosphere do you want your wedding to be? Because a band is live. You can't press play and restart 20 times. Exactly. Or if it's the wrong song, you go, oops, let me on my playlist. Yeah. And DJ too, I always tell my client when it comes to DJ, same thing. What's the vibe? Because every DJ, every band, every violinist, every pianist is so different. Yeah, get the vibe first and then we go from there. But for songs, set list, I'm like, look, you don't like a song, remove it. We don't have to play it. But if you're gonna be crossing off 40 songs and be like, hey, like that's almost half what they have. So at the end, you'll be only getting half of what they have to offer because you didn't like it. So I always try to bring them back to reality and be
that there's gonna be guests pestering. I had a client once, I'll never forget this. He was a younger guy and he wanted the hall. It was a reception hall. He wanted it to look like a club when the people walked in. Like he wanted it. So he says, guys, I want the smoke machine on all night. So
wow,
we're like,
that's
we're gonna create that vibe around 11, right?
Not the whole entire night.
No. The minute he walked in, hey, where's the smoke?
Oh boy.
Put the smoke on. So we put it, and the smoke is going, and now
all night.
His sister comes,
of course,
and says, "Can you shut the smoke?" I said, "Listen, do me a favor. The groom, he wants it on. The groom wants it on." And she literally walks out, and I heard it. Might get the fuck out of here, so you're waiting. Yeah. Don't bust my balls. He goes, put the smoke on. He looks at me. Put the smoke on. Don't turn off, no matter what.
Oh boy. Okay.
So people are reading their.
With like a smoke, like a fog.
Smoke the whole way. But older Italian people are walking with the food. They're giving us shit.
Right,
night.
For sure.
God.
It's understandable, and that's why one of my other jobs is to make sure that it doesn't end up like if my clients say we want to like a club, I'm like, okay, but we don't have to be full smoke machine the whole night here. We're not. It costs a lot of money to keep it going, and B, the venue isn't gonna be happy because the waiters and waitresses, their staff can't see what they're doing in the middle.
And it looks a mist. And
exactly, and it's a danger hazard. So if my client one day, if I have a client, I'm like, look, we could have it at 11, 12 when let's say the older folks leave. You could have your moment, but not the whole night because it's a safety not only for you, your guest, the staff, me, everyone else working the wedding is all imposing a risk. So
the band is gonna fall off of the stage.
Exactly, and it just creates a bad overall experience, and it's not gonna be pleasant. I'm sorry, but I try to bring them back to reality as much as I can if I have to, saying, look, I get it. If you want a club, go to a club. It's not a club. It's a wedding, and you have to have a fine line, like a thin line between what's appropriate and what's not appropriate at a wedding. There's a fine line, and it's not only for my safety, but it's your safety, your guests, everyone else involved, the wait staff, the venue. You don't want the venue to be like it'll just be a whole big mess. I think.
Yeah, true.
So about how many weddings have you planned?
So far, it's 35 weddings.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going 35 weddings. Yep.
And
Crazy.
you're there from the beginning to the end.
So how I
Yeah.
usually do it is, and every planner is very different, but for me, I'm there the day of the wedding as soon as I could set up. So let's say setup is at 10. Let's say if the venue's nice enough, 9 o'clock, even better for me.
Yeah.
But let's just say hypothetically, it's always usually 10, 10:30. I show up, I look at everything, and depending the venue and their staff, sometimes the tables are set up before like the seating plan that I give them. Sometimes it's not, whatever. Let's say hypothetically they're set up perfectly the way they're supposed to be with the right amount of chairs and the tablecloth. Then I look at that, I'm like, okay, then I have, let's say the florist come, the DJ set up or band set up, the rentals, if we're renting anything. Let's say if the bride and groom have menus and name cards, which I always suggest you do, so it's easier for the wait staff to know, okay, let's say Bob at table 5 is having fish, okay, they have a little name with the fish, all organized, so it's easier for everyone. I set up that along with the venue staff or alone, it all depends. And then during the wedding day, I'm there to make sure the ceremony happens, reception, pictures are being taken, everything is just flowing nicely. And then I leave at 9 o'clock. As of 9 in the night, I leave, I say bye to the bride and groom. I have the manager, the floor manager from the venue, basically they'll take over the rest. But at 9 o'clock, everything is pretty much done. First dance, the speeches are done, and everyone's dancing. So my job is technically done but what I always like to do, just as a safety, is I always tell the couple, I'm like, I'll be up probably till 2, just wait, like if anything were to happen, you could at least call me, or the venue, the manager, the floor manager, if they ever need to call me or text me, I'll answer them, like I'm not opposed to that. But usually 9 o'clock I leave. Latest I stayed was midnight because there's a few issues that had to be solved, but latest, but I always say 9 o'clock because that's when everything's done. And then at the end there's nothing for me to really do because the cleanup it's the venue for the cleanup. So exactly,
rentals and these things.
The venue. So the venue takes care of it. So they're the ones to put it on the side for the next day for the rental coming to pick up, and they clean up everything. And that's how it's done in a nutshell.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I make sure that, and before I leave, I always tell the venue, like, hey, let's say don't forget this, don't forget that, okay? Then I'm good to go.
Imagine I did that all alone. I was like, oh my God!
That's a lot.
What's the one moment in the bride and groom's day that you would say is the most important? Like other than the, I know the cliche, the church when you say I do.
Right.
Yeah.
I think.
like whatever.
What?
I mean, like, what's that?
Funny?
Okay, whatever. I mean, come on.
What?
That's the most important, but I mean, in terms of, that's like that's the most important as a couple. Like,
right.
I get that. I mean, like, as a day, Lord, like, to have that perfect picture. Is it the cake cutting?
I think the most, what I've been seeing more and more is the room reveal. So, because remember, the bride and groom, they don't see the room decorated or anything. They just assume how it's going to look, right? Because they're not there while it's set up, right? They're either getting married or going to take pictures, right? So it's always the room reveal because they have it in their mind, this is how it's going to look like. And 90% of the time, it's always better than what they expected. I even had a bride cry, and I wasn't there to see it. I'm like, of course I was in the back running around. I had to miss it, right? So I always try to stay for that room reveal. Because that moment for me is like, I did it. Like, we're good. I'm relieved that they like it. Yeah, sometimes there's a few tweaks here and there that I like. For example, I had one wedding where the flowers were dying. I don't know why, but the flowers were dead. So I had to cut some flowers from the centerpieces. So I cut the dead flowers, and you couldn't tell because it was like a moodier vibe, so like the lights were dim, so it worked out. And luckily, I saw the dead flowers, and I went with my scissors. And then I had to like rearrange a few things, to make it look.
Did the bride and groom know? Did they see? No,
they don't have to know. Like I said, it's not going to change anything. For them, there's the flowers there. They don't have to know I cut out half the flowers.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what. And also on the wedding day, I always bring my wedding day like emergency bag, so I have like everything and anything in there that you'll need.
Yeah, like the bride, you know, when they're wearing the heels this high and it's like my feet are starting to hurt.
Yeah, I always have for that. I always bring band-aids because you need band-aids.
Yes.
You know, that's essential. And I found like this sprays, like you spray and like it numbs the pain. Yeah. It's dangerous. You have to be cautious.
So they become soccer players.
Yeah, exactly. So spray. I always like you could get it at the pharmacy, and it's actually from this my course I took from the WPIC that they introduced the wedding day emergency bag. So I just keep on adding things in there. Like they have an example you could put in it, but I really tailor it to what I use and what I have Tylenol, Advil, I have wipes, makeup wipes, I have elastics, I have disposable brush, disposable spoolies in there I have a lot of like I have a lot of lighters because for candles, to light, because most venues take mine at the end, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I have like it's like this thing, like it's like this, think of it like wax but to hold a candle upright, like the tapered ones, like so it doesn't fall in the glass, right? Because you don't want it to burn and be liable if the venue allows candles, right? Because depending on the venue we're talking about. What else? I have a lot of things in there. I have like these Windex wipes, like let's say if the couple has like a mirrored like seating chart, I like if it's like smudgy, I just take my Windex wipe and I'm like, okay, we're good. I have a lot of stuff in there. Batteries.
The Italian version of that is a bottle of grappa, a sopressata, and ta-da. That's the Italian version.
But that you forget about everything.
For me, I'm good. If there's a problem, give me the bottle, and I'm good.
Problem solved. But I always have that on me, and then I have like a mini,
would be a good
and then I have on me like a little crossbody bag with like the like scissors and other little things in there.
You don't have a flask of like the hard stuff, so when something goes wrong, it's like
no flask.
No
but
flask. The groom's got it. Don't worry.
I only have coffee. Like I drink a concerning amount of coffee on wedding day. Like I'm at coffee
I
level.
go with Red Bull.
And once what happened was one wedding, and I'm never doing this again. So the caterer that I was working with had Red Bull, and he's like, hey, like, do you want one? We're all gonna have one. I'm like, sure. Like, and I knew I had coffee. So my own fault. I was shaking. And I didn't drink that much Red Bull. I was shaking. I'm like, this is gonna be an interesting day. Like I felt like I could do laps around the venue. Like I felt like the walking speed.
See the Elaine dancer
like
in the middle.
I couldn't. I was like sweating. Like it was, and I'm like, never again am I mixing both. Like I didn't know. Like I think I only drink Red Bull once in my life, and that was it.
I don't think I've ever had.
And like I would never
survive
drink
with Red Bull during events.
Oh really?
I wouldn't.
It's my own thing.
I wouldn't.
And not only me. Like it's a thing.
Yeah, it's.
I wouldn't. Never again. Never. I learned that mistake once, and I was literally sweating, and it wasn't even that hot. It wasn't even that hot outside. Oh my God. I was sweating profusely. Wow. It was a bad idea.
It was a bad trip.
It was a bad idea. Never again. I learned.
You live, you learn.
You live, you learn. Yeah, that's it. You're still young. Oh my God, you're still young.
Never again am I doing. Now I just rely on my coffee. I have my little thing with my coffee, and I sip on it. I don't drink it all. I just sip. Casually take a sip here and there.
At a wedding, they always have a nice espresso machine. I have like.
Because I make my coffee at home and I have it, so I just sip. And I take my sip, and that's it. And I have it in my bag so no one takes it, and I just sip.
In the emergency bag?
Yes.
Like you have a
yeah.
Because it's an emergency.
Yeah, it's in there. And my emergency bag is like a gym bag, but like a fancier gym bag, if that makes sense. Yeah. So like it's like it doesn't look like it just looks like a fancy bag just there. And it's always under my chair, so I know where it is at all times.
Yeah, nice.
And if someone ever needs something, like I have a mini sewing kit in there, you name it. I think I'm set.
Well, on that note, we're gonna have our game.
Yay!
Okay. It's called Rapid Response.
Okay.
You look a little nervous, like I don't know what's happening.
I didn't know there was a game.
Yes, you did. Hang on.
No, she didn't know. I knew.
I know you knew because you read the questions. So this is basically, bless you.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I'm just a bit of dust.
So the rapid response basically is you have a question.
Okay.
And you're supposed to have 5 seconds to answer. But here we have no concept of time.
No,
so we just laugh, giggle, make fun of each other.
It's banned from this place.
Yeah,
we don't have time. We don't count the time.
So we'll do an example. I'll ask Lisa and Francesca. Name 3 things to do on a weekend. What a question is that?
This is nice.
I love that.
It's like an easy question. You're supposed
That's
to
an
ask a
easy
little
one.
Yeah,
challenging.
exactly.
That's an easy one.
Well, it gets there. Hey, it's hard to come up with these questions, man.
I guess.
What 3 things to do on a weekend? Shopping, driving up north, and
Driving
going
west.
out with friends.
That's a good one. I like that answer.
For me, it's spa, getting drunk,
Or
And-
during the week, but yeah.
and eating a lot, which I don't usually do during the week.
Does that
so-
really fall on the weekend?
Yeah, always on the weekend.
Yeah, not during the week? Oh my god, okay. Then I'm the one who's...
You're short.
So
I can't
Valerie,
do
we're
during
gonna
the
go
week.
with... Oh, now it gets more complicated.
Okay.
Name 3 sour foods.
Sour foods.
Yep.
I don't want to. Lemon is a fruit. That's
Yeah,
sour.
Yeah, it is.
Lemon
It is a
works.
food. What else is sour? I want to say I don't want to
See,
say like
difficult.
sour. I don't know if sour. I don't know if chili's sour chili. I heard somewhere sour chili. I don't know from where. I know lemons. What else is sour? I know the sour candies.
Oh, sour
Sour-
patch.
Yeah.
Sour
Patch.
patch.
Yeah,
I don't know if that
best.
counts as a food
Yeah,
group,
that's
but
food. Yeah,
that's
totally.
sour. And then the not sour.
Sauerkraut.
No, the sour. the
Cheese was that.
the sour cherries too are dangerous.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
the sour
Like
cherries.
there's
Oh my God.
there if it's really covered in like that thing, it's super sour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to go
So
with
now I'm going to get creative and I'm going to say, Lisa, name 3 sour foods.
Grapefruit, lime,
Oh,
those. Okay,
damn it.
you're fast. You're good.
and I wrote the question.
Oh, that's why. I'm like, that's why. That's why. So quick.
It's always easy for us.
And apple sour.
Apple sour? What's that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Apple
drink.
sour. That's good. That's a good question.
Oh.
That's a good answer. I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Lisa
Good
and
one.
Francesca.
Smart ass.
Oh, name 3 animals you would use as classroom pets.
Classroom pets?
in
Like
in
in the
class.
classroom.
Like
Because
you
you-
bring animals in class. Yeah, you know, like a show and tell.
Really, I never saw that.
Actually,
but,
nowadays there's a lot of
Yeah.
dog, like...
really? Goat?
Yeah, I
baby
saw someone-
goat?
My wife has 2 dogs that she works with in the
That's
class.
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
They're mirror dogs.
that...
Here, because
they're
in
working
Europe,
dogs.
no.
What do you call them?
Mirror dogs.
Service dogs.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
Well,
Actually, my drummer has a service dog. Yeah, she has a service dog, and for anxiety and panic attacks, the dog literally, like, she'll start hyperventilating, and the dog will go next to her, make her
Yeah.
sit down, and get on top of her to
Oh,
ease the
so
tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
cute.
that's so cute.
Yeah.
So anyways, let
So
me
yes,
say
name
my
3 animals for the classroom.
baby goat, because it's
I used to
thing.
have a baby goat, by the way. Sorry to interrupt.
It's a thing. They do yoga with
Yeah,
baby
the
goats.
yoga with baby
It's a
goats.
thing
Yeah,
to do
I
yoga
saw
with
somewhere.
baby
Yeah,
goats,
the baby
yeah.
goats.
I've been
Yeah.
missing out on a lot. What the?
Puppies in general,
Yeah.
like, because I mean, who
Can't
doesn't
go
want
wrong.
puppy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's so cute.
Uh-huh.
And then another, you know the lizard, the dragon
The
lizard,
gecko.
the
Oh, the
one-
dragon lizard. Yeah,
Dragon-
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You remember from that podcast
Yeah,
we
I
did,
think
yeah.
that would be great experience to bring in
Yeah,
class.
that would be cool.
Because
That's
it's very nice. It's also so cute with.
Lisa?
A tarantula.
A tarantula. Okay.
Yeah, we used to have, when we were in class, they had a tarantula come in.
She came and she teaches some stuff and then she.
That's it. I teach you what
I've
to do
seen
with
it.
this.
I've actually seen it. Friends of mine.
Yeah.
Well, so my kids went to school with someone, and their parents own Tarantula Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they do. They go to classrooms with a bunch of different
Oh
tarantulas.
boy. Okay.
Because
Disgusting.
it does exist at a place like that's called Tarantula Canada.
It's called Tarantula
That's
Canada. yeah.
insane.
Literally. Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, sorry.
I'd walk out. I'm like, nope, not
Yeah,
today.
not
I
gonna
just walk
happen.
the exit. I wouldn't be able to. Freak me out. It's a little too
Yeah.
much.
Lisa, you said tarantula then?
Tarantula bunny,
Okay, good one.
a little bunny, and
like
a kitten.
How did you forget what's the
Python.
the bird there? What's it called?
The
parrot.
Australian finch.
No, remember the parrot that fell in love with me at that podcast we
Oh
did?
yeah,
What was his
yeah. It was
What his name was?
Oh my god, I can't remember. I can't remember, but he
Was
just
it
fell in
Dodo
love
or
with me and
something?
was on my shoulder like the whole podcast. He was like
Coco.
Coco, yeah.
And he was like, hello.
That's so
And you look at you like, hello.
All right, Valerie, name 3 wedding dress styles.
Oh, that's it.
ball gown, A-line, mermaid.
Mermaid?
A-line, how is it?
It's just like straight down.
Okay, the mermaid is the one.
Yeah,
I
it's
love the
mermaid or
mermaids, that's
trumpet. Mermaid's more fitted, trumpet's a bit loose, and then it's fitted. And ball gown is like Cinderella.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, basically.
What's your favorite?
that was
Sorry,
easy.
I'm curious.
Ball gown?
Really?
Yeah, I was being.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's like for me, like that's the epitome of a wedding dress. But that's just me.
That's fun when you do the garter belt, right? The guy goes under, and pulls it, right? Do they still do that?
Actually,
I haven't done it in
Always
years.
with this questions.
honestly,
I don't know.
it's
They
less.
used to do it all
it's
the time.
less. It's less and less now.
Yeah, it's
actually,
less and less.
it's not as popular, I guess, as it used to be.
Yeah.
Just I guess styles change and
I used to laugh because they did it like when I was doing weddings when I started. This is like every wedding, and every wedding the best man goes and puts his life.
of
into
course.
it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but how do you guys not know this after it's years that every wedding's the same?
Yeah.
How do you not know that it's gonna be a hairy leg?
Like duh, you know what else do you
Yeah.
expect?
Lisa and Francesca, name 3 stripper costumes.
Yeah.
What does
She
it
forgot
mean?
that question.
3 stripper costumes.
Yeah, but what does it mean?
Stripper.
like
Stripper.
A male, like a,
male
but because
stripper.
they have
you dance and you're
costumes.
taking off your clothes like Magic Mike.
I mean, a thong,
a thong, yeah.
thong,
Yeah.
Okay.
net t-shirt,
A what?
net
Net-
t-shirt,
netting,
Yes,
neck t-shirt.
yes, yes.
net t-shirt,
That works.
and like the
Bunny ears.
The bunny
no
ears.
bunny ears. So the things like evil thing.
Devil horns.
The devil horns.
Yeah, that works. Lisa?
3 stripper costumes. Well, you can really have any costume.
Yeah,
right?
you-
You can strip right off.
I was
You could
gonna-
have a nurse. You can have.
Man. I'm talking about man only.
Oh, no.
Ah no.
Not even women for a guy.
That's all right. You see a guy with devil horns?
Yeah.
I had to look at him and say, dude, you got a problem.
Oh my god. So I would say a nurse. I would say, well, you can always do a waitress, and you can always do
What's a waitress? Like what?
Waitress.
a waitress.
Yeah, I know what a waitress is, but like what's
Really?
a costume?
Have you ever seen Hooters? Like they have a costume.
I've never seen Hooters. I actually had Hooters at a wedding. It was the sweet table. Swear to my head.
Very nice
way.
idea.
At the Ritz,
I
the
loved
Ritz in
it.
the Plaza. The Ritz.
That must have been the most popular
was
table at any
Hooter
wedding.
girls serving. They had like
I think
bar
it's
Hooter
pretty
girls,
cool.
and next to it was the
The
sweet
station with them. I think it's pretty cool.
Table. Yeah, it was.
If
fun.
the bride is on board.
If the bride's on board, yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And you can do like a vampire.
Vampire, cool.
Yeah. I thought it was only where we're.
It's just like, I like your idea.
Yeah, good idea.
Oh, this is a. I mean,
roam and
for sure,
just
Valerie will have a good answer to this.
Be funny.
Valerie, name 3 wedding themes that are like really cool,
Like really cool wedding themes.
other than Harry Potter. Let's
Okay, fine.
Give that away.
You have, I know one really cool one is like Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, nice.
That's really like that could be fun. One is like by the beach, so like very nautical.
Yeah, I
and
did
then
that.
one
Biggest mistake
one
in my
that
life.
I've been seeing a lot is like the Amalfi Coast. So like the lemons, like the that vibe. I've seen a lot of that vibe going around lately.
So I literally did the beach thing. It was a beach party in
Okay.
a warehouse.
Oh yeah.
Corporate party. Oh yeah, really cool. Huh?
Yeah.
They brought in sand and everything. Yeah, right. By the
cleanup
fourth
must have
song,
been
you
fun.
can't breathe.
Oh yeah, I can
People are
imagine the
dancing, there's
dog.
sand.
I could
Yeah.
just imagine the cleanup must have
My
been hell.
equipment.
Yeah.
My equipment. I had to take all the speakers apart.
Oh my
Right.
god.
Everything. My keyboard. I had to get it cleaned specially.
That's
Because
intense.
there was sand and dust.
Well, it's in the air, right? You're
Everywhere.
breathing that in.
But
and
also
it's just,
because it's closed, so
You
it's
walk
even
in,
worse.
You walk in, the coolest thing ever. 10 minutes in is like, how the hell do I get out of this place?
it's
Right,
and
I
I could just
imagine.
imagine the cleanup and everything
Oh, it's
after.
disgusting.
You might not cough. Everybody must have been coughing too.
Oh, yeah.
It was-
Imagine, I'd like to do a speech.
Yeah, it was.
But
anyway.
beach, maybe not with the sand, but just like the theme,
Yeah,
like the
yeah, a
blue,
look of
the
beach.
look, but not the sand. 'Cause,
Actually, I was with the guy who owns this place.
yeah,
He did all the artwork of the beach at this party. I played with him. He's a singer.
That's so
and he was
cool.
singing. But he did artwork back then, so he painted all the palm trees and all
that's
along the wall.
nice.
That was cool.
That's
So it
really
looked good.
nice. That's really nice.
For the first 10 minutes.
But for the first 10 minutes. And then after
Only
I was
for the
like, why
first
am I
10
doing
minutes.
this party right now? I'm going to kill you. But anyway.
But I know that, I mean, I've seen, they have those on the W channel, or the it's a reality show where you have like the bride and the groom and they have the weddings.
Yeah, 3 weddings was it or something?
I don't remember.
That's
but I remember,
a good show. The 3 weddings, they compete and whoever had the best overall
Exactly.
I
wedding.
saw it too.
It's addicting.
And
It's
they used to
addicting.
have like medieval. I know we went to a wedding. This is a girl that I've known a long time, and she had her wedding at it was in Rigaud, at and right next at a sugar shack.
Okay,
like and it was a medieval wedding. So she was dressed in like with the crown of flowers.
Okay.
It was like really, really like pioneer
Right.
type. So the whole setup was inside the sugar shack,
Right.
and everybody was sitting at the wooden benches.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it
That's
was really,
cool.
really like an authentic, very.
It was
very,
really well planned out to give the
Exactly.
full experience of the vibe there that they wanted.
Exactly, and they some of them, and I've seen some of the examples were like vampirism. They had
Right.
women dressed as vampires. Cinderella was another one.
Yeah.
like they go really like these
Well,
far
for
out
a theme
ideas.
wedding, if you want to do it right, you do it right. But don't like half-ass it. Like if you want, like let's say the Cinderella theme, really go all out. I'm not saying Disney here, but really go all out. Don't like start missing elements. Either you do it well or you don't do it at all.
Yeah,
'Cause
exactly.
If you're stuck with a theme, I even tell my clients.
Everybody's got to wear
Yeah.
glass shoes.
Imagine. But I'm just saying, like when it comes to a theme wedding, it's important to like do it all the way or just don't do it.
Yeah.
That's my
I agree.
thing.
I agree.
Yeah. Also, you need a budget. Either it's coming out perfectly, as
Yeah,
you were saying.
you
Otherwise,
have-
it's gonna
yeah.
be cheesy.
Don't then forget it. Then
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheap and cheesy.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'd like to thank you, Valerie, for coming.
Thank
The
you.
hour
It
is
was so
over.
interesting.
It was
yeah?
so fun.
It
Yeah.
was so interesting.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that now all the people they know who they can refer to because
Thank
you
you.
were very on point. It was all clear, and your points were great, and
Thank you for
your
having me.
professionality is great.
Thank
so.
you guys.
Thank
it was
you.
fun. I just like to let people know what wedding planners really do. It's not just a myth, not like the movie,
The maze
the
of
wedding
the
planner.
wedding planner.
Exactly.
It's
It
not-
was a
it does-
romantic movie, though.
It doesn't
It's a good
exist. Only
movie.
J Lo that does this.
It's a real career here.
But thank you so much.
thank
Very
you
informative, like Francesca
Yeah.
said. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing this podcast.
It's gonna be fun.
podcast. What do I always say podcast for?
Podcast.
Podcast.
Where people can find you.
Yeah.
Well, I do have Instagram. It's Vintage Luxe Events. Facebook is the same as my Instagram. I have my website as well, vintageluxeventsmontreal.com. Yeah, that's about it.
Perfect. So
Nice.
guys, get
Yeah.
married and
Let's
we
everybody ask
provide
everybody.
You get married. We provide you with a planner.
Exactly.
We're
So
invited, FYI.
FYI.
We're the crew that we got to scope out to make sure Harry Potter works.
So
The
we're
Harry
in the back
Potter-
drinking, but she's doing her job. That's the
love
best
that.
crew ever.
I'm in. I'm in.
We
We
support.
taste the wine.
The wine tasters.
Exactly.
We're
Wine
here
tasters.
to wine taste, and we're here to eat.
And
Not
every
actual
shooter,
food.
and every shooter that anyone wants to try, we have to make sure
Yeah,
it's,
we make
it's
sure
okay.
it works.
Of
okay
course,
to
you know,
shoot.
of course, it's important.
And get shit faced at the end of the night. So, guys,
Because you always want that two people should face. So this is part of what you offer. So people hire you, and then you provide
The extra service.
Yeah, exactly. But they're not
Additional
related to anyone. So at the end, it's perfect because no one knew what
it's like the movie The Wedding Crashers.
The Wedding
You know, they're like,
Crashers.
I'm the cousin of your
that one,
Ronaldo.
We are hired for that. So
Hired.
That's it.
Extra service.
And don't forget it, we dress for the Of
course, dress for them.
thank you so much.
Or
So
we
much.
can have a different wedding and have strippers.
Yes, that's
That
true.
would get, no one would forget that one.
I'm pretty sure they won't. That's
Screaming
it.
kids, you know.
in the background.
She provides.
Why is Daddy making
Do you
that
want the
face?
screaming kids?
Why is Daddy making that face for, Mommy? He looks like he's in pain. So on that note, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. And
Thanks to
don't-
our sponsors.
Thanks for our sponsors. Thank you, Val.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francesca.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Vani.
Thank you, Vani.
Thank you, our beautiful guests in the back who will be
Thank
on
you.
sessions
Thank
shortly.
you.
And thanks to everybody, guys. We'll see you soon on our next Let's Talk It Out.
Bye.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.